Another concept you introduce us to in here is the whole notion of priming. That is, that what kind of is put in our head can, again, structure our behavior, our output. Describe that in a little bit more detail and give us some examples.
Well, these are incredibly, they are spooky experiments that have been done in recent years, principally by a guy at New York University called John Bargh. He gives you a test to do, and it's a series of words, and you have to take these sets of words and make sentences out of them. Really simple. What you don't realize, unless you're really, really, really smart, is that all these lists of words are on a similar theme. So suppose the theme of all these sentences is old age. So there's words like Florida, shuffleboard, arthritis, you know. Then he measures how quickly you walk into the room when you come in to take the test, and he measures how quickly you walk out when you finish the test. And he finds that when you walk out, you walk substantially slower than when you walked in.
Because you've been thinking about arthritis and old age.
Yes, I have made your unconscious become obsessed with the subject of old age, and as a result, your unconscious has made you act old. Now I can do this he does the same experiment, and he does it with words having to do with being polite. And then he puts you in a social situation that measures your patience and how polite you are. And he finds, for example, he did this thing where he had the students take the test, go down the hall, and we want to give this to you. You have to give the test to some professor. But the professor is locked in conversation with someone else, and the question is, how long do you wait before you interrupt? If he primes you with words that have to do with polite, you'll wait forever. The kids were still waiting when they ended the experiment, like 10 minutes later. And if he primes you with words having to do with being rude, you'll interrupt immediately.
Now, some may think, well, these are frivolous little exercises, but the scariest one for me was the one you talk about where African Americans, one control group, was invited to state their race before they did an exam, and the other was not. The one that was primed to think of themselves as African Americans, as blacks, scored
much lower.
Way, way, way lower. What is the implications of this for something as fundamental as education, for example?
Well, they're enormous. I mean, what they say is that, I mean, this goes to the theme of the book. If the theme of the book is there is more going on below the surface of consciousness than we tend to realize, what this says is, look, when you give someone a test, we like to pretend that what we're measuring is the kind of conscious contents of their brain. We're measuring something inherent, right, about how smart they are. We're not. What we are measuring, we're measuring some of that, but we are also powerfully measuring their state of mind at the moment they take the test. And to me, that completely undermines the notion, this naive notion that many educators have, that you can reduce someone's intelligence to a score on a test. You can't, right? Unless you are absolutely sure that you have ironed out and removed all those sources of bias, we have to accept the fact that a test is a deeply flawed instrument. It is a guide to the state of someone's mind and no more than that.
No, while it isn't in your book,